So Karen, you talked a little bit about this already, but obviously it's not always a smooth sailing, right? When you're building that relationship with the CEO, there's going to be conflicts. In fact, last night we had one of our group together, and we talked about the challenges that they have with their CEOs. And one of them was just like the CEO holding the rest of the ELT accountable, right? And the CHRO sort of be in the middle of that and having a hard time doing their job. But I'm curious, do you have a story or an example that you'd be willing to share about?
Yeah, I think the clashes, because there are plenty of clashes, especially if you're the person providing the feedback.
Mhm.
And I made the mistake early on of kind of the mistake wasn't providing the feedback, but the mistake was the team expected me only to provide the feedback. And they had to correct that really quickly. It's like, well, you go tell her, or you go tell him. And in the beginning, I would be like, excuse me, why am I doing all this? You have to, and to teach others to give the feedback.
Right.
But I found our clashes were under a broad umbrella of they wanted to do something in the short term that I didn't think served the medium and the long term.
Okay.
And, let's say it was put this person in the job, give the person the money they want, give them the title they want, whatever it is, it's a tense moment. You're on a short timeline, and they would just say, do it. And I would remember, trying to figure out how much leeway I had. And, I would always start again with language. We can do anything you want, but I just want you to understand, here are 3 ramifications of going down this path. 1, everybody's going to know that title changed. 3 other people are going to want it. It's going to confuse investors. They're going to think this is a successor. So, look, we can do it, but I just want you to hear that there are ramifications. And, you could tell by their face that they understood it, but you had to then be ready with other solutions, because then they would say, okay, so what do you want to do? And, it would get snippy. And I'd say, well, you could do these other 5 things. But none of them were as good as solving the problem and just giving them the title, right? And so you had to kind of work your way through. We could do these 2 things. We could do a combination of these 3 things. I think in the long run, that would rock other boats less. And sometimes you had to learn how to pick your battles, but it was always over the just do it, Karen, versus the cleanup that was going to have to happen if we just did it.
Right. So helping them see the consequences of actions and just being really consultative.
Yeah. And then having other ideas, because, they would stop. I could always get them to stop. Right. Because usually the ramifications were pretty obvious, and they probably knew them anyway. I wasn't telling them anything. I was just putting it out in front.
They're like, we're just going to put this out there here, Karen, so you can help me think through what the real solution should be.
Yeah. So you had to have some other ideas to try to move the conversation from what I thought was not probably the best idea to something else that could work and solve maybe not the entire issue as elegantly, but didn't create the unintended consequences that some actions can take.
Yeah. I think that word unintended consequences comes up a lot with our